Second principle, perhaps more important than the first one, definitely more interesting. Picture superiority, all right? Some of you might know this, some of you may not know this. I'm going to try to change your minds on this idea too. All right, so picture superiority. Let's, I want to get, I'm going to give you two reasons why this is better. One, a biological reason and a cognitive reason. The biological reason is mostly in this book. So I want to have the guy who actually wrote the book tell you a little bit about it, all right?
You'd think the decades of reading books and the ingredients on the back of cereal boxes would make the visual system very efficient at recognizing words without needing first to identify the letters. That's exactly what you don't find. Our brain sees the letters in words not as letters, but as tiny pictures, and we have to identify certain features in each letter to be able to read the word. Otherwise, the word is unreadable. That takes time. In fact, it's a bottleneck. We are incredible at remembering pictures. Hear a piece of information, and 3 days later, you'll remember 10% of it. Add a picture, and you'll remember 65%. Why is vision such a big deal to us? Perhaps it's because it's how we've always apprehended major threats, food supplies, and reproductive opportunity. The folks at Getty Images are in the business of selling pictures. Take a look and see what they have to say.
Well, in Brain Rules, we learned that vision trumps all other senses. And what that means is that a picture will always have the ability to stop someone in their tracks and communicate an idea in a way that no other medium can.
Ants continue to be in our top-selling concepts. The three of them carrying the leaf, which is all about teamwork and effort and do it together and you can do anything. And then what happens if you crop two of them out and you leave the one ant on its own with that huge leaf on its back, suddenly it tells a completely different story.
One of the challenges in business is to differentiate your product or service from a competitor's. And a central component of that is your brand and how you express your brand. What we deliver is the visual component of that.
The goldfish have been in our top sellers for as long as I can possibly remember. And it's this idea of going against the stream, standing out from the crowd. In one, he's leaping away from, the standard life, and then the other one, he's already there. From a customer perspective, what this means is that my product stands on its own.
So the idea here is not that that a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's really that a picture is worth 1 billion words, all right? So pictures are not better, they're way, way better. All right? This is actually some kind of a summary of the research that you can find in this book, Brain Rule. By the way, like I said, there's 2 books that I strongly recommend you go and buy after this. This is the second one, right? It's a fascinating book. It has 10 rules that are research, right, based on the research of the brain, and this is one of them. Presenting anything with pictures and text is 6 times better. The recall is 6 times better than if you just simply do text. Now, John Medina explained some of the biological reasons as to why. Evolutionary, we think that that's the case. There's a lot of research to support the idea that the vision is a very complicated sense, and it's actually trump any other sense. There's did an experiment with in France when they actually fooled these French wine connoisseurs, and they change the color of the wine, and then they give them red wine that was colored white wine, and when they start drinking the wine, they were using the language they were using for a different color wine. Right? So they did not think about those things. So vision images are very important for this. Now, when you were a kid, you actually did a lot of this stuff, right? You remember anyone seen the game Simon Says, right? Simon Says, right? So let's do a little tryout here. What you're going to have to do here is I'm just going to tell you what to touch, and you just simply touch it with your right hand, right? So for instance, touch your head, right? You touch your head. You can do it now. With your right hand, touch your head with your right hand. All right, we got the hands. Okay, good. And then touch your elbow. Very good. Touch your nose. Touch your eye. Touch your knee. Half of you did this. Now, why is that? Vision trumps text. Vision trumps text. It's in fact, there's a lot of research out there saying that not only is we were evolutionarily prepared to do vision, is that now we use vision so much more and we depend on it so much more that the brain is actually creating real estate in the brain to actually in favor of vision and against some of the other senses. But that is the biological reason. The cognitive reason, why is it that presenting text and images or present better? Well, there's a lot of research on cognitive theory. This guy Pavio is probably the most important one. They developed this theory, dual coding theory. Perry also tested ad nauseum. He said that memory has basically two channels that go into your memory. One is a verbal message, and the other one is a visual message. And this enters into your memory from different channels. Now, that's really important, because if you have a message and you only use text, right, you're forgetting all this channel. So what this said, if you present, this is the reason why presenting a message with text and image is so powerful, because it goes through two different channels. Now, the other part of this is that if you forget that and you have a slide with a bunch of text, and then you also saying orally what's in your text, then you're overloading this channel. And there's also research to support that. That when you present text in a slide, a bunch of text, and you repeat the text with your words, you're overloading people's memories. You're not making it better for something about intuitive, but you're making it worse. And that sort of makes sense. You're trying to read, you have someone else trying to tell you what to read, so it's too much, you're just working too hard. You're making the students work too hard. It's much better if the verbal communication or the verbal message comes from one source, either text or orally, but not both, right? So this is another strong argument for using images. So here's what I had originally, right? And I told you that I had got rid of all that stuff. Here's a much better way of doing it. Now, the pictures have to be related to what you're saying, because you don't want a picture that is completely, I don't want a picture of a bear here, right? Because what it has to do with increasing demand, right? So, but if I have a picture of a long line, here's one thing. If there's one thing that I want my students to know after an econ class, is that long lines are a sign of inefficiency. Economists hate long lines, right? Long lines means that the price is not correcting the problem. So this is what we have. When you have an increase in demand, you will have an inefficiency for some time. It's a long line. Okay? Questions?
Basically what you're saying is, using something like this, you can even use it without the text and just say what you want to say.
Yeah, indeed. It's good to have, I sometimes put a cue so the students kind of know where I'm going. I think that someone mentioned that before, like can you give them like where am I going with this? And in a moment I'll tell you all the thing I do. I give students outlines so they know where I'm going, because I tell them picture, outline in the outline that they have in front of them. But yeah, I think if you do that, you can just get rid of all the total text, or just put the image there and talk. Right? And the information is coming from two channels, right? So the students will remember this. Now, as a point of interest, that not only works with pictures. There's a lot of research to suggest that concrete text is actually much better at recall than abstract text. Because as soon as you read, what you're doing in your brain is you're making an image of what you're reading, right? So if you don't have to, if what you're reading allows you to make an image easier, then you will remember it easier because you can access it a lot better. Yeah.
Now, I sometimes use pictures like that in my presentations, but is there a website that offers?
So yeah, we're going to go to that. So if I convince you that this is the way, let me see. So the way I have this first is by giving you an example of another slide and how I converted that slide into more of a visual way, right? So this is another slide, and I'm going to get to where you get the images in a second. This is a slide that I have in my first class in economics, right? Main economic problems, since all resources are scarce, and since they could be distributed different ways, give everyone the same, leave it to chance based on need. And the idea is that we need economics to find the best way to distribute limited resources. So this is how I used to have my slides before. So how I converted this slide? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each statement and I'm going to put them in a different slide. It's probably going to take me about the same time to go through those 3 slides than to read this one slide. So the idea that the more slides, the longer your presentation, that's not true. The longer your presentation is how much you actually say. It's not a function of how many slides you have, right? You can have 6 slides and go faster than reading this slide right here. So here's the first one. Right? It's fun to find these slides, actually. When you find this one, I say, yes, I got it. Right? Here's the second one. Balance, right? Equitable. Here's the other one. Chance. And here's the best one. Oh, right? It's so cute. Right? I love this picture. So this is the main idea, right? I'm basically telling them the same thing. They're getting the same messages, but hopefully they will remember it better in this way.